So yeah, we took a quick summer break there.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on with family, friends, summer schedules with the kids, as I mentioned.
Day camp, sleepaway camp, tennis team, swim team. What else? They're going to make some boondoggles over there at the camp. Remember the boondoggles?
Yes, I do.
You weave together those little plastic strings. You make a little keychain, maybe. Give it to mom and dad. Say, hey, mom and dad, here's a keychain. Mom and dad said, oh, this is beautiful. And then they throw it in the trash.
By accident, of course.
I don't know where my boondoggle went. Honey, did you take my boondoggle? I love that boondoggle. I just can't believe it's gone.
Welcome to Backtracking, the show where two old friends take a second listen to influential bands' catalogs, track by track. I'm Ralph Bagdasarian.
And I'm Dan Fiden. We'll be taking this journey together, providing context, both personal and historical, on some legendary bands. For our first season, we've picked none other than Rush.
Hey, Dan, do you have a good week last week?
Yeah, it was a great week. I had a great week. I had all the family here, you know.
You had Buffaloha?
I did, yeah. It was wild.
Did you distribute the hats?
Oh, yeah. Distributed the hats.
Was there much rejoicing? Were people pleased?
There was much rejoicing. People were pleased. We had a great time.
Because I found a couple on eBay. I'm going to buy them.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Backtracking podcast, doing Test for Echo. Dan.
Yes.
Side two. Why are we doing three sides again? Can you explain to the children?
Well, because this is what Discogs told me is the track listing and the side listing for the vinyl version of Test for Echo. I still don't understand how you can have three sides to an album. It makes zero sense to me, but I am not a vinyl connoisseur, and Discogs seems to be kind of the primary resource for looking up track listings. And
these aren't like special edition vinyls. These are like these are the original release vinyls.
Okay, so this says, all right, let me just read to you what it says. Rush, Test for Echo, Atlantic, and then it gives like a catalog number. Then it says format, vinyl LP, 200 grams. Vinyl LP, single-sided, etched, 200 grams. All media, album, reissue, remastered, special edition. So maybe this is some kind of weird single-sided 3-disc etched 200-gram vinyl. I don't even know what any of that shit means.
Discogs is fucking with you?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you, but if you want to reference there are apparently 15 copies of this for sale on Discogs. You can buy them for $238.71 is the lowest price. Yeah, it is. There it is.
All right. Well, let's do side two. You know, if it's short, it's short. If it's long, it's long. And let's give the people their money's worth. If
it's short, it's short. If it's long, it's long. Just like Rafi Schlong. All right.
Well, we know we're in for a doozy.
We know it's short, everybody, right? It's short. All right, guy, let's get into it. Time and Motion is the first track on side B of this etched 200-gram vinyl edition of Test for Echo, which is not what we're listening to, but it's how we're formatting the episode. This song, Rafi, is 5 minutes and 1 second. Music by the same old folks, lyrics by the same old guy. Let's get into it.
Time and motion, wind and sun and rain. Days connect like boxcars in a train. Fill them up with precious cargo. Squeezing all that you can find. Spontaneous elation and the longing.
All right, Ralph, Time and Motion.
Yes.
Lyrics. What do you think?
It's kind of middle schooly lyrics. You know, I mean, the grand scheme of things, some similes, metaphors. It's exploration of time and motion. I mean, just like it says, there's really no hidden meaning in these lyrics, as far as I can tell. But it's very sort of introspective, kind of Neil Peart lyrics.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I struggled with these lyrics a little bit. There is certainly some things in here. There are certain lines in here that I think are nice and interesting. Top of my list for that is days connect like boxcars and a train. I like that idea. And then I like how he goes on to say that you try to fill up your days with as much. So, I mean, I kind of like interpreted this song as being primarily about like, hey, as you get older, you really try and jam a lot of stuff in your life and blah, blah, blah. Right.
But it takes a weird turn at the end with like Superman, right? It's like, where does that come?
I would agree. There are things in these lyrics that I cannot make heads or tails of. Some of them are kind of evocative just as words, right? As like poetry, I guess. Like the line, lives connect in webs of gold and razor wire. That's kind of an interesting, evocative line, but I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Like, I don't really know what he's trying to describe.
Honestly, and I didn't, I should have looked this up, but you know, Rush is known for having like one track off of an album that was sort of spontaneously recorded towards the end of the session. This kind of feels like that track to me. At least both the music and the lyrics, although they've had some pretty banging songs that have come out of that sort of spontaneous, last minute recording.
I think that Roth, to dig right back into it, some nice elements to these lyrics, but overall they just kind of left me flat. I didn't really get a good sense of they didn't hit me in the same way that, Marathon hits me or Manhattan.
I mean, I think the lyrics make a little bit more sense in the context of the music. If you just read the lyrics, it's one song, but when you take the music is very sort of secret agent man kind of, it's kind of got this like minor key, almost like it's very atmospheric and it makes sense that they bring Superman in at the end. I could see it being sort of like a noir DC Comics kind of soundtrack. That's sort of the tone of the music. Does that change the lyrics to you at all, Dan, by any chance?
No, but now that you've transitioned into the music, I want to talk about something. I'm going to make your editing job more difficult, Rafi. I'm sorry, but I was hoping we could play the section of this song that is about at minute 250.
Okay.
I think it's the bridge. I guess you'd call it the bridge. But if you could find that, maybe let's give it a quick listen. So, Roth, now that we've listened to that section, tell me that section specifically is positively Cygnus X1. Tell me that does not remind you an incredible amount of the song, like literally the song Cygnus X1.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It does have that sort of mysterious kind of feel to it. Yes.
I'm telling you, you dig back in.
And what's the point? Where are we going with this?
There's more to my theory that this song is the missing successor to Hemispheres. It's like Rush, like there was a fork. There are two different realities. The quantum reality, kind of like the quantum conundrum of Rush is, after Moving Pictures, they took this kind of this timeline that took them off into the kind of synth pop, keyboard pop world. And they like spent a lot of time going down that direction. And it's an interesting direction. But I think makes me wonder, like, wow, what if they had taken this right turn at that same juncture and this was the next album?
I'm thinking we need to, after this podcast is done, we're going to do a true crime type of podcast called The Search for Cygnus.
Yeah. Singus. All right. So yeah, Ralph, I think this is a really interesting groove. It is, once again, it's heavy, but in a Rush kind of way. It's like heavy for Rush.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a fan. Not my favorite song on the album, but I'm a fan.
As am I. I mean, I was gonna say it's not my favorite song off the album either. It doesn't leave me thinking. It's nice. It can play. You could be driving in your car listening to this album. The song will come on. You'll enjoy it. It will end, and then you'll be like, "What did I just hear? Time in motion." Like it'll come and go. It's not like super memorable. It's not bad. If you're in the right mood, it might strike a chord with you. No pun intended, because they do play chords in this song. But I guess every song strikes a chord. But it's not one of those songs that's a standout by any means.
Yeah, agreed. So, Raf, before we move on to the next song, Totem, I do want to make one point. It's a generalized point, and I was on the Rush subreddit yesterday, and I was reading some comments. People were talking about something in particular, and there are a lot of like things like this on the Rush subreddit where it's like, what do you think of this album, or what do you think of this song? And then people in the comments talk about it. And there's always somebody in the comments who comes in on their fucking high horse, right? And writes a comment that's basically like, well, it's your personal opinion. If you happen to like this song, then it's great. And if you don't like the song, it's not great. It's like, but no shit, dipshit. This is like, we're not looking for someone to state what is absolutely plain. Obviously, this is a subjective thing we're talking about. You don't need to like come in and like basically tell everyone what subjective means. People are trying to have an interesting conversation and to assert an opinion on both sides of this topic. That's why you go to the subreddit, to hear different views and different perspectives. You don't go there for the fucking kindergarten teacher to come in and say, hey, everybody, every opinion is valid. Don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
No, people are always looking for a fight. I mean, I saw a meme on some internet site the other day. You've heard of the internet, right? And it said
I've been on the internet.
To prove that people will pick a fight about anything, here's a photo of a stick. And sure enough, the vitriol that was in the comments was it was enough to make the Pope blush.
Listen, I guess what I'm saying is, in a topic like this, I want a little bit of, I'm okay with a little bit of vitriol. Just make your opinion known. Like, you don't have to like be so fucking such a pussy. If you don't like the song Time and Motion, just say, you know what? I think this is not a great song, and here's why. You have to say,
like we just did.
For me, but there's an ass for every seat, and I'm sure there's somebody out there who loves Time and Motion. So let's not say anything about it. It's just like, fuck. Well, then why don't we just go fucking watch America's Funniest Home Videos?
It's it's something people do. I mean, this is turning into a psychiatry podcast, but people ascribe it intent, right?
Right.
And it's like, and those people, like if I say something like, I'm not a big fan of orange, the color orange, and you're wearing an orange hat. You think that I'm making a comment? No, I'm just saying. And then, but well, I wear an orange hat because Buffaloha, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like it's don't ascribe intent. That's you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, if someone disagrees with you about something, it is not a personal attack. Just
sometimes
internet, grow a pair. Internet, just
sometimes
everyone,
it is.
can you just please stop being pussies? Internet, like everybody out there, just fucking stop being such a pussy.
Dude, I think you just
I don't like Time and Motion. All right, fucking come at me, assholes.
Dan, you just solved the internet. I think the internet is going to be a nice place from now on.
All right, now that I've solved that, Raf, let's go on to Totem. This song is 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Who wrote the lyrics?
Percy Stool.
Neil Peart. Who wrote the music?
Jimmy Two-Tone.
No, Jimmy Two-Tone did not. No, his work is
he's Tommy Two-Tone's younger brother. You don't know about
Jimmy
him.
Jimmy Two-Tone. All right, Jimmy Two-Tone. Let's listen to Totem right now.
Okay, you know what I like about this song? And we're going to talk about the lyrics first, so don't worry.
Yes.
It's very childlike and innocent. It's very playful, childlike and innocent, and I like that.
Okay, it didn't strike me as childlike and innocent, but I will say that these are, without a doubt, my favorite lyrics on the album. This is definitely, when I read these lyrics, right? Clearly this is Neil Peart tackling a classically Neil Peart topic, which is, religion, atheism, right? And so I think it is kind of a topic that we can compare his older lyrics to what he said here. But I think the execution of what he's saying in this topic, which is essentially, I believe in what I see, I believe in what I hear. That like he's saying that, he has a certain set of beliefs. Other people who believe in different kind of spiritual things may have a very different set of beliefs, and that is going to impact the way you see everything in the world, right?
Yeah.
I think that, that message, which really kind of comes through in the first two verses and the first chorus, is a much more circumspect Neil Peart than we heard, when he's writing lyrics about atheism in his 20s. Do you think that's fair?
I don't think you should be making comments about Neil Peart being circumcised, quite honestly. But hey, talk about what you want. So I think the way I feel about it is, so we know him to be a stout atheist, right? He
Yes.
does not subscribe to any. We were just talking about free will, for example. He sort of says very clearly what he believes. He's an older guy. If you read, and I think there's a lot of illumination to be had out of the book Ghostwriter that he wrote, which is his journey
kind of
of
secular
healing.
Bible, I hear.
Yeah, but it's how he came to terms with something that.
Yes.
Usually people turn to religion when great tragedy befalls them, like that whole, no atheists in foxholes, right? Or trenches, whatever they say. And I think Neil Peart would have strongly disagreed with that. But what I kind of get the sense here is he's kind of diminishing or diminutivizing. I don't know what the word diminishing.
Yeah.
He's bringing these great sort of religions and these icons of these religions. He's bringing them down to size and almost making little cartoon characters of them and saying like, look, I don't ascribe to your religion or your faith, but there are a lot of maxims in your teachings that I agree with. And I'm going to take a little bit that I agree with in a secular way, and I'm going to put them in my cute little totem pole. Right. And I think that's kind of what he's saying. That's why I kind of get the sense that it has a childlike, like he's almost playing with religion, not in a disrespectful way necessarily, but he's kind of saying, okay, I'll play your game, but there's some truth there, right? Of course there is, but your kernel of truth is not an ear of corn necessarily. And he's making it then his own. So this is the first time, maybe the only time, where we really see Neil Peart sort of embracing on some level or another religion and making it his own. And I think in the process of making it his own, he sort of creates a childlike sort of trope of it all.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, Rafi. I think that, but again, I just kind of feel like this is a somewhat more circumspect, somewhat more generous view of religion than Peart might have had in his 20s, in his lyrics in his 20s. He is still, I think, saying, I don't think he's kind of retreated from his atheistic worldview, but I think he is kind of acknowledging that there's more value in some of these, other kind of worldviews than he would have earlier. But he also is, I think, simultaneously criticizing the commercialization of religion, kind of mass media. I think he uses the phrase mass media messiahs or something in here. So he has his criticisms, but I think generally speaking, this is a fairly rich, nuanced view of religion that's represented in here. I will also say to you, Rafi, before we leave the lyrics, there are two lines in here that I think are terrific. Number one, the last line of this song, "Sweet chariot, swing low, coming for me." Within the context of the music, it feels almost like Geddy has to figure out a way to get that line in there because it's just kind of a dangler at the end. Yeah. But I love the reference to "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," right? I actually think that's just super interesting, very playful, evocative, somehow foreboding within the context of the rest of the song. That "coming for me" is like, interesting. That's an interesting thing to say. So I absolutely love that lyric at the end of the song, even though I don't think musically it fits in that well.
Mhm.
But the best Rush lyric that can be used as a pickup line in a bar is, of course, what is it, Rafi?
I believe in what I see. I believe in what I hear, and you're going to my place, and we're going to sleep together tonight.
No. It is, of course, dance around my totem pole. All right, Raf. So why don't we get into the lyric there? Come on.
All
bud.
right.
This is I feel like this is your kind of song. I have a pretty straightforward view of the music in this. I feel like this is a very
fun.
jingly.
It's a very fun, upbeat song. And I think it really matches the lyrics. I've been saying that a lot about the tracks on this album. They really marry the and I think this is when Rush is at their best, is when the music and the lyrics just fit so well together.
Yeah.
And I mean, what is a totem but representative? It's basically a representation of something, to bring it down to a humanistic scale, right? I mean, that's essentially what a totem is. And I really, I really think this is Neil Peart basically owning religion. Like, he's like, I'm gonna fucking own you.
Oh, really? Oh, I think it's more generous than that.
No,
well, it's my opinion,
maybe it could be both. It could be both.
I think there's a little bit of vinegar in here, but I think generally speaking, he was more judgmental in his atheistic songs when he was younger.
But he does. I mean, but if you look at the chorus, I think the key is in the chorus. I believe in what I see. I believe in what I hear. I believe in what I'm feeling changes how the world appears. So it's almost as if he's like saying, okay, I use my senses to make sense of the world. But these stories, these totems from these various religions, they can inspire me to feel different things. Right. So I think he's bringing it down to size. I think he really is sort of and lyrically. And I think what he's doing thematically here is he's essentially deconstructing religion to what it really is. They're stories made up by humans assigned to, gods to make sense of the world. And what he's saying, he's deconstructing it. He's saying, okay, I'm going to take it back down to a story created by a human. It's a work of literature. And this is a man who clearly was inspired by works of literature throughout his entire life in a very deep way. And I'm sure that atheistic literature could be just as deeply spiritual, in quotes I put, spiritual to him and inspirational, right? And changing his worldview or evolving his perception of the world as much as the Garden of Allah or a Viking Valhalla or, these totems that he's mentioning. So I think what he's doing is he's reducing and deconstructing religion to a collection of totems that he finds inspirational. And that's what I mean by he's owning religion. He's like, I'm not going to play your game, but there are some really great stories that inspire me. So I'm going to bring them down to reality and they're going to inspire me that way.
Well, listen, I will say, Raf, that the fact that we're able to dig into this one as much as we have is really, I think, proof of what I feel, which is that these are the best, strongest lyrics on this album, the most evocative, the most worthy of digging into. Yeah. But now we're going to move on to another.
Well, I want to say one more little thing.
No, Raf.
No. So the thing is, this to me is like almost like an atheist anthem, because atheists. If you might be one, I might be one. I don't know. But the thing is that there's at least the hardcore far right evangelicals will have you believe that if you're an atheist, you're amoral or immoral, or you don't have any moral compass, which I strongly disagree with. Some of the most humanistic, compassionate people doing good day to day that I know personally are atheists. Not all of them, but many of them are, right? Just as much, if not more so, than the devoutly Christian. And there are some Christians that I know that put the atheists to shame in their humility and so it doesn't matter, right? But I think what he's saying here is essentially that humanity does not require subscribing to some sort of theocratic belief or some sort of dogma, and he's breaking it down and bringing them down to size and making them totems. I mean, he's really reducing them to a construct of man and saying, hey, I'm going to play with my totems. And the song is very playful.
I'll bet you're going to play with your totem.
Hey, baby,
Listen, I think that this is a more playful song, but I think that when you mention Anthem, compare the tone of this song to the tone of the song Anthem. Anthem is undeniably a much more judgmental song.
Yes.
Relative to religion, right? Like it is clearly, hey, I am doing this. This is the right way to see the world. And I don't get as much of this in here.
He's way more mature here. Mature.
That's really all the point I was making. But I love that progression that you can see in certain places across Peart's kind of like lyrics over the course of, 25 years at this point. I think it's, again, one of the great things about Rush and one of the reasons why backtracking all of their albums has been so interesting and so fun so far. But Roth, the fun is about to stop, my friend. You know why? Because we're going to listen to Dog Years, and it is 4 minutes and 55 seconds of straight up shit. And we can talk about that in a second. But this is a rough one. Why don't we give it a listen?
Now 7 years gone by like one. Dog years, it's a season of each. Dog years, with every scratch it reappears.
All right, Dan, I think you should go first with the lyrics here because you seem to have much stronger opinions.
Yeah.
On this. And I just had a reason. We had a pet die this past week. Our hamster.
Oh, no. I had, I've had many dogs, and I did have a dog die a few months ago.
I know, yeah.
But listen, this is a horrible song. This is a horrible song from soup to nuts. It is a song that should have been excluded from the album. But let's start with the lyrics, Roth. Number one, he takes a common phrase, right? Like a dog year, the idea of a dog year being a seven human years or whatever it is. He takes that very simple, relatable thing and stretches that kind of metaphor way past breaking. It is just not a great place to really start with a lyric, in my opinion, but he takes it a million yards further than he actually should. It is a fucking fumble. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, another animal comes to mind with these lyrics, and that is a horse, a dead horse to be specific, and him hitting it with a stick.
Yeah, he really, it really is just like, it's like, yeah, Neil, we get it. So basically what this song is, the message of this song, in my opinion, is time stands still, except time stands still is 8 bazillion times more articulate, evocative, elegant, powerful. It is exactly the same thing he's trying to say, which is like, wow, time goes by really fast as you get older, and you really need to kind of like hold on to it. And in time stands still, you're like, it like, I'm not going to say brings a tear to your eye, but it is like powerful. This is like, he takes this very relatable, universal feeling, right? And somehow makes it suck.
It sounds like you're the next thing out of your mouth is going to be like, every lyric Neil Peart has ever written is all for naught because of this one song.
I'm not going to go that far, but this is a bad one. This is a real stinker. And on top of it, it's anti-dog and therefore racist.
It's specious.
Yes.
So listen, I'm gonna
don't even do it, Roth. Don't disagree
double down
with me.
here. No, I would say the music. I have the same feels for the music. It does start off with it actually starts off pretty strong. It starts off with a cool grooving riff, but then it just sort of like the chorus, like it's not a key change, but it just is like.
Listen, the music does not work for me at all in this song either. However, I will say the section of this song that I think most people remember, and it gets the most kind of like Alex refers to it when he talks about this album. There is a totally punk section of this song, right? It is just like punk music. I mean, not like, obviously it's executed by people who can play their, instruments really well. And so there's a certain like kind of cleanliness, but it is a very punk inspired section in this song. I kind of love that Rush did it. Like, I think it's really cool that they kind of felt comfortable saying, fuck it, let's do this punk section of this song. But it does not work at all. They wear that punk section like, badly fitting pants. It's just really not what they should be doing. And I think the whole song has this kind of weird, hokey disjointedness as a result of that.
Yeah. No, what you just said, a hokey disjointedness,
yes,
perfectly describes the song.
Thank you.
Now that said, I hate when people do that. That said, it's not the worst song I've ever heard from Rush.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. There are some bad songs in the Rush catalog.
If you want to find the worst song by Rush, I'd say like Tom Sawyer.
No,
I'm kidding.
Like, really, I now that you've thrown that out there, Roth, and we are kind of at the end of side B, so we've got a little bit of time in this episode to discuss this topic, and I think this is a rich topic. Why don't you tell me which song is worse than Dog Years? Because I'm not sure.
The first thing, obviously, I go for, is it worse than Tyshawn? That's sort of the litmus test.
Yeah, I don't think it's worse than Tyshawn. I think this is worse than Tyshawn. I think Tyshawn is better than this song. And I do not like Tyshawn.
You know what? Okay. You're right in that if someone put a gun to my head and they said, this is the last Rush song you'll ever hear in your life, Tyshawn or Dog Years, I would choose Tyshawn.
Yeah. I can't, honestly, I don't think I can think of a song that I like less than Dog Years. Now, I haven't listened to the last couple of albums, but again, that's not to say I dislike this album. I really like this album across the board, much more than I expected to. I love the production.
Maybe one little victory off of the next album. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, you can't do that because I haven't heard that yet. But I mean, think about it. We could go back and say, like, what are the worst songs that we've identified from each of the albums? Maybe we should do that in a special episode. We should have a tournament of champions and a tournament of losers where we take our worst songs from every album and our best songs from every album and then do a bracket.
Deal.
You know what I mean?
I think we should do that because I think we could go really deep on this. And I think we have to actually go and like listen to the evidence. We have to give the jury direction based on the evidence if we're going to do this.
Yeah. I the jury, Ross. I the jury. Okay, well, is that it? We're done with and the last thing I'm going to say about this is it's very strange to hear Neil Peart play this way in that punk section of this song specifically.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to this song. I'm going to listen to the song many times. So my brother, you may know him. He's been on this show, mumbling his way through episodes. He made himself like country once. He did it as an actual psychological experiment during like a psychology class in college. And what he did was he forced himself to listen to country every day for X number of hours. And he ended up liking country. So I'm wondering if through brute force, we could make ourselves really like this song.
No. No, the answer to that is no. It just doesn't fit Rush well, this song. It just doesn't fit Rush well. This song has a real, and honestly, for me, it's because it's soup to nuts bad. The music is not good. The lyrics,
they don't flow. You're right.
It's just like there isn't really a lot that I think you can point to in this song and say, well, that's redeemable. I just don't think any of it.
Well, I think you deserve to have your body threatened on Reddit because you don't like the song and you offended someone and you made them feel like
my body is ready.
You made them feel like less of a human for their judgment. No, I mean, if you listen to
guarantee,
song,
you know what? I'm going to post on Reddit. I'm going to say, hey, can somebody defend the song Dog Years for me?
No,
and I guarantee somebody is going to post listen, there, if you like dog ears, that's great. Everyone has their own thing. And if it's your thing, then great. It's like, oh, thanks for fucking saying
okay, but that is intrinsic to everything we say here. Every word
It's
that comes
exactly
out of our
right.
head is intrinsic to that. Okay, so we don't have to even debate that.
It shouldn't need to be said.
But what if, like, the first time you got laid or the first beer you had and really enjoyed, you were listening to this and it was like, I get it. Like, then it's going to have a special place in your heart. But that is not me.
What would be the situation? Hold on. What would be the situation where Dog Years is the song that's playing the first time you get laid? There is no, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna, like,
well, CD players
in
use
terms of
that shuffle
heterosexual sex, there is no woman who wants to listen to Rush when she has sex anyway. Like, that's like inconceivable.
That's right. If you're listening to
And
Rush
Dog
while
Years.
you're going to have sex, like, already chances of the odds are against you.
The girl is headed through the window and out the fucking, she's gone. She's down the street. She's
Okay,
like,
well, forget that example. But what if the first beer you had hanging with the boys, right? You know, at the glory hole. I mean, the watering hole.
dude,
What if that was your experience when you first listened to this? You might have been like, "Wow, that's a great beer, man."
I guess, but I don't know. Dog Years. It's just really. I just like the jokes and the puns that he does in this are just super cringy.
Well,
it's just like,
listen, folks,
it's a real
I want to personally apologize to each and every one of you that we're ending this episode on such a low note.
Downer. It is a downer. It is a downer.
I feel we could do better. So Dan and I both apologize to you. And we will do better next time. We promise we'll look inside ourselves. We will reevaluate our life choices and we'll do better next time.
Listen, I am going to tell you that overall, I really like this album. And so, yes, it has one song that I think may be the worst song in Rush's long career, but that doesn't change the fact that I really like the album overall. Now, Raf, just to kind of tickle your pussy with a feather here for next episode, Virtuality has lyrics that are nearly as cringy as Dog Years, but much better music. So we're going to talk about that.
The next time you come here, you'll dance around my totem pole, and we'll talk about Virtuality.
Hey, Toots, want to dance around my totem pole? Hey, Toots. Hey, Toots.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, we
Come
went
here
way.
often?
Okay, guys, I have to apologize to everyone again. We went way off the rails with this episode, but you know what? That's what happens when you get these three-sided albums. It messes with reality. The fabric of space-time gets all fucked with, and so we can't really be held accountable. So, anyways, on that note, Dan, where can the good people who stood by our sides to the very bitter end here on this episode, where can they find us, and where can they threaten us?
Yeah. Hey, Toots, you want to send us an email? It's backtrackingrox, ROX at gmail.com. It's Instagram at backtrackingrox, ROX. It's Twitter, backtrackingrox. And Reddit, backtrackingrox, ROX. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, hit the comment, motherfucker. Just comment, why don't you?
And thank you for joining us. And next week, you can come dance around our totem poles as we discuss side 3 of Test for Echo. Thank you.
Bye-bye.